Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Kojo's Math. It's good morning for me. Today we're going to be talking about powers and exponents. And I'm going to try to slow down today a little bit more because I know I've been talking really fast. So I'm going to try to get back into my southern drawl without the drawl. So you should be writing this down. If you need to, stop the video and write all of this down and then we'll talk about it. But I'm going to pause for just a second, but I'm going to keep talking so that if you can write while we talk, that's fine too. The whole thing we're going to be talking about, the whole thing, powers and exponents today, is what looks like this, 3 to the power of 4. Where the whole thing, 3 to the 4th power, is called the power. The whole thing is called the power. The 3 is called the base, and the 4 is the exponent. The exponent tells you how many times to write the base and then multiply. So, this exponent tells you to write the base 3 times and then multiply. So it wants you to do this. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And then you always simplify it or evaluate it, which means for, in your terms, to get an answer. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So 3 to the 4th power represents 81. That's all it is. It's a different way to write 81. Factors, and you want to remember this, okay, because we'll use that term a lot from now on. Factors are numbers that are multiplied together to get another number. So if we multiply any 2 numbers together, those numbers are called factors. For instance, 4 times 5 equals 20. 4 and 5 are factors of 20. Can you think of any other numbers that are factors of 20? Right. There's 1 times 20. There's 2 times 10. You get the idea? So 2 and 10 are factors. 1 and 20 are factors. And 4 and 5 are factors. Now, you've been seeing this term, evaluate, and I just want to remind you what evaluate means. Evaluate means to simplify as far as you can or find an answer, like you like to say. But you have to start using the terms like evaluate and simplify, expressions. That means that does mean to get an answer. So instead of saying, oh, we need to find the answer, to speak mathematically, you need to start saying, oh, we're going to evaluate the expression, or we're going to simplify the expression. And that simply means that you're going to find an answer. So here we go with exponents. And if you remember PEMDAS, we do parentheses first, and then we do exponents. So here we have these parentheses, and we're going to work this together. We have 4 squared. Now, right now, you should start to realize that this 4 square has nothing to do with what's going to happen over here. So in this circumstance, we can go ahead and say 4 square. And what does 4 square mean? Remember, the base tells us the exponent tells us to multiply the base. So I'm going to write that right there underneath it. So I remember it's 4 times 4. But I can go ahead and write 16 because this is out front. And then, so I can do the exponent and inside the parentheses at the same time because they're separate. So 4 plus 1 is 5, and I take it out of the parentheses because there's nothing else there, times 2. Now, order of operations now tells us to do what first? Yeah, the multiplication before the subtraction. And that's a careless mistake that a lot of you will continue to make until you really get this, till you practice this. So I would suggest practicing as much as possible for our next quiz next week. So we get 16, or this week, we get 16 minus 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 16 minus 10 is 6. Now I told you can do 2 steps in your head. So you could have gone 16 minus 5 times 2, so 5 times 2 is 10. And 16 minus 10 is 6. You didn't have to write this step unless you need to write that step. Now let's look at where we get a few more when we get exponents involved. Now I want you to read this. Okay, let's see how you did. 9 squared minus the quantity of 3 plus 2 to the 5th power times 2. Well, because this, even though PEMDAS says to do parentheses first, because this exponent is kind of on its own, we can go ahead and write the answer to that. Remember, I'm going to put 9 times 9 here so I don't forget that it's multiplication. So it's 81 minus, all right, here we go. This is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Do you need to write that? No, but you do if you make the careless mistake of going 2 times 5 is 10. It's not 2 times 5. This, remember, what's the definition of exponent? It tells you how many times to write the base to multiply. And that tells us to write this base 5 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. What is that? That is 32. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. So we're going to bring this down. Now yes, you could do those 2 steps in your head. 32 plus 3 is 5. So now we're going to go 81 minus, now I'm going to show you all the steps, but remember you can always do 2 steps in your head. 35 times 2. Well, 35 times 2 is 70. So we get 81 minus 70, and the answer is 11. You'll notice I'm coming down in my triangle. You don't need to draw it. Well, let me read this one to you. 10 squared minus 2 times, because any number times the parentheses means multiplication, 2 times the quantity of 4 plus 3 squared times 3. So because this 10 squared is off on its own, we can go ahead and put 10 times 10, which is 100, minus, we got to bring this 2 down. Now this is a case where we have to keep the parentheses around this. This means 3 times 3, and then we get, I'm going to go ahead and do this 2 steps in my head. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 4 is 13. Now, we go left to right because here we have multiplication and multiplication. But we don't do this first, we have to do this one. So we have 100 minus 26 times 3. Okay, what's 26 times 3? Well, 18, 1, 78, and we get 100 minus 78. And 100 minus 78 is 22. All right. What we're going to do now is you're going to try these 7 problems. You're going to stop the video, pause the video. You're going to write these down, and you're going to solve them. All right? Good luck. Turn on the video when you're ready. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. I am not going to go over all of these. What I suggest is you pause the video and check your steps. And you'll notice that I showed every step. You can do 2 steps in your head. You can't do them all in your head because these are multi-step order of operations. But you can do 2 steps in your head at a time. If you have any questions about any of these, bring these tomorrow. So you can pause the video and check these, and then I'll put the other 3 problems up. Okay, here's the other 3 problems. Again, pause the video and check them, and then start it again, and I've got a couple more things for you. Okay, welcome back. Okay, now you're going to write down 2 things that you've learned and 1 question you still have on powers and exponents. What? Oh, did you have something to add, Mr. Owl? What's the matter? The cat got your tongue? Or do you have the cat's tongue? Bad joke, I know. Corny, huh? Well, let's see what he's got to say. Well, yeah, he's got something in here. In fact, he's got a few things in here. Let's see what he has to say. Oh, remember, 4 to the 3rd power means 4 times 4 times 4, which equals 64. Pretty good advice from Mr. Owl, wouldn't you say? All right, you got, well, I know, I got to put your head back on. Feel better? Have a great evening. Bye-bye.